Today's story is The Longway Westward. The New Land. Look, Carl Eric, said Jonas. The streets of America are not paved with gold. Oh, Jonas, said Carl Eric. He smiled at his little brother. That is just something people say. It means America is a rich land. Will we be rich? Asked Jonas. Maybe not rich, said their father. But we will never eat bark bread as we did in Sweden. After 12 days on an emigrant boat, it felt good to be on land again. But New York was not for them. It was big and crowded and noisy. Whistles blew. People shouted. A train rumbled over their heads. Thank God we are not staying here, said Mama. She hugged the baby tighter. The cart stopped at a busy pier. They were packed onto a ferry boat. Mama looked across the Hudson River at the green hills of New Jersey. How much longer to Minnesota? She wondered. Attention, countrymen, shouted the railroad agent. Your trunks are checked through. You are on your own now. There is the emigrant train. You must change in Philadelphia. Does anyone know English? No? Well, just show your tickets then. The train stops often. Keep an eye on your children. Be calm and stay together. Carl Eric and Jonas ran ahead of the others. They climbed aboard the train. It was warm inside. Gas lamps lit the car. Oh, Carl Eric, whispered Jonas. He touched the red plush seats. This must be the king's train. There is no king in America, said Carl Eric. In America, everybody travels like this. What are you two doing in here? Cried an angry voice. Run, Carl Eric told Jonas. They ran through the car, down the steps, and out onto the platform. The railroad agent laughed. What were you doing in first class? Here is where you belong, boys. Their car was crowded, dark, and cold. It had wooden benches, a water bucket, and a coal stove. Their first night in America, they slept on the floor. Philadelphia, shouted the conductor. Wake up, boys, said Papa. We have to change here. Out on the dark platform, whistles blew. Conductors shouted. Trains were coming and going. Which train do we take? Carl Eric asked his father. Papa did not answer. He looked lost and helpless. A porter came over to them. Emigrant train, he said, pointing. Carl Eric and Jonas stared at him. They had never seen a black person. 2. Rolling westward. A rooster crowed. Jonas woke up and looked around. The sun was up over a field of corn. Are we in Minnesota? He asked. No, said Carl Eric. We are in Pennsylvania, somewhere near this big river. He showed Jonas on the map. Papa rapped at the window. Come outside, boys, he called. Come smell this rich farmland. Look at the big barns and fields. Look at the cows, cried Jonas. Everything is bigger in America. Will our homestead in Minnesota be like this? Asked Carl Eric. Papa looked at his wife and sons. If we work hard, he said. It was not easy to leave Sweden. Here in America, we have a chance for a better life. The immigrant train bumped and swayed across the state of Pennsylvania, past farms, factories, coal mines, rivers, and woodlands. Look, Anders, Mama said to Papa. Birch trees, just like in Sweden. The train moved so slowly that Carl Eric and Jonas got out and ran alongside the tracks. Look at me, Mama, shouted Jonas. I can go faster than the train. Get back in here, cried Mama. How would we ever find you if you got left behind? At the stations, they stretched their legs. They refilled their water bucket. Once the train stood for hours on a side track. It was waiting for an express train to pass. The children picked wild berries. They looked for treasures, pretty rocks, feathers, snails. Jonas found a brass button. It had a picture of a train on it. A conductor's button, he cried happily. Look, Papa, said Carl Eric. They are serving dinner inside. I know, said his father, but it is too expensive for us. It costs 25 cents. Papa bought milk, bread, apples, and meat from a food seller instead. Mama waited her turn for the stove. The car was thick with smoke and cooking smells. Hungry children hung on their mother's skirts. Women take their work with them, said a man with rough hands. I hate having nothing to do. Not me, said his son. I like being free from chores. Carl Eric nodded. He knew he would have lots to do on their homestead in Minnesota. Where are we going? Carl Eric asked the boy. Trade Lake, Wisconsin, he said. Many people from our village are already there. I will not have to learn English. Our cousin in Minnesota speaks English, said Jonas, and she had seen an Indian. Clang, 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 clang. The train was slowing down. The boys saw lights ahead. Pittsburgh, shouted the conductor. He pushed them rudely out the door. The Chicago Express was boarding on the next track, but they could not get on it. Express trains did not have immigrant cars. They had to wait until the next day. In the morning, they boarded a local train. There are no seats, said Mama, but we have windows, said Papa. Some cars have no windows. The train rolled westward from Pennsylvania into Ohio. It stopped at every station. The men looked out the windows at the towns and farms. They talked about weather and crops and the new American farm machines. They passed around letters and maps. My brother Axel says the best land is in Minnesota, said Papa, and the climate suits us Swedes. There is work in Chicago, said a young man. I can earn 3 times what I made in Sweden. In America, everyone is equal. There are no lords or kings. Carl Eric thought about the train with the red plush seats. 3. Chicago. In Crestline, Ohio, they slept on the station floor. They left the next morning on the local train to Chicago. Crestline, Fort Wayne, Chicago. Carl Eric found them on the map. We are in Indiana now, he said. He drew a line from town to town. We may reach Chicago tonight, Papa told Mama. Chicago is full of pickpockets and runners, said Mama. What are runners? Asked Jonas. They are bad men, said Papa. They rob and fool newcomers. Jonas smiled. Nobody would rob and fool Papa. Papa had their money sewn into his coat lining. Chicago, everybody out! They got off the train. The runners were waiting for them. Boarding house, money change, they called out in Swedish. A runner grabbed Mama's bundle. Come with me, he said, smiling. There are no more trains today. Drop that bundle, shouted a deep voice. Big Carson, cried the runner. He dropped Mama's bundle and ran back into the crowd. That swine, shouted Big Carson, trying to fool his own countrymen. Big Carson held out his hand. I am from the Sva Society. Our members are Chicago Swedes. We are here to help you. Papa looked relieved. We are on our way to Minnesota. Can you help us find our train? Follow me, said Big Carson. He gave Mama a folded newspaper. It is in Swedish, he told her. Inside is something sweet for the little Swedes. Oh, thank you, said Mama. La Crosse, cried the conductor. La Crosse, Wisconsin, said Papa. We change to a steamboat here. A steamboat, cried Carl Eric. Then that is the Mississippi River. On the other side is Minnesota. We are almost there. 4. Up the Mississippi. The steamboat chugged upriver. It stopped at every landing. Its whistle echoed through the valley. Up on the open deck, Carl, Eric, and Jonas huddled together to keep warm. They heard music and laughter from the first-class cabin below. Early the next morning, they landed at St. Paul, Minnesota. Now we must find a train to Anoka, Minnesota, said Papa. Axel is waiting for us there. Carl Eric took out his handbook. Please, sir, where is the station? He asked the man selling cranberries. The man laughed. Just follow the cards, countryman, he said in Swedish. Anoka next, called the conductor. Papa jumped off the train. Anders! Shouted a bearded man. The two brothers threw their arms around each other. A young girl watched shyly. Anna Steina, said Mama. How you have grown these last 2 years. If you were Anna Steina, said Jonas, then this is for you. He held out his conductor's button. Come, said Uncle Axel. Sarah is waiting for us. We can be home before dark. Home, said Mama with a sigh. Home. The long journey was over. They were finally home. Home in their new land, America. Bye-bye.